Now, causal ordering of the message, as stated earlier also, that if a message is to be delivered, uh, and to the it has to be delivered to a certain process, and the process must know that before receiving that particular message, whether there is any other message which has been sent to that same process, then the message which is scheduled first should be received first to the process itself. And for that, you can understand it by a very simple example that M1 and M2 are the two messages. Of course, M1 has happened before the M2. So if M1 has been sent to a certain process and M2 is also being sent to the same process, and M1 has happened before, then it should be received first, and then only the M2 should be received. So that is the meaning of the causal ordering. This is an example which has been stated in the form that process P1 is issuing a message M1 at a certain event, and this message is meant for process P3. This M1, the process P1 is having second event in which it is sending message M2 to the process P2. And then process P2 is sending a message M3. So what is here? It means that M1 has causes the M2 and M2 has causes M3. Why? Because M1 has happened before M2 and it is the same process. So there are in M2, there are certain message which is derived from M1. Similarly, when M3 is the message which is sent by process P2, it has been derived from the message M2. So all these messages are causally related because M1 has happened before M2 and M2 has happened before M3. So whenever M3 has caused, M3 has to, M3 is the message which is to be sent to the process P3 by process P2. But process P3 should know that whether before M3 is there any message which is to be received by P3. If it is so, then and that message must be happened before the M3. So what it will do, it will buffer that message and it will is delivered. The message will be delivered to process P3 after it will be receiving the message M1. So when this is the process called causal ordering of the message. For maintaining this causal ordering of the message, we have certain protocol. We used to have two protocols. One is Biermann-Schaeffer-Stephenson protocol, that is better known as BSS, and second one is Schiffer-Egli-Sandoz algorithm, which is SES. Now, these two protocols works in a different manner. The first protocol is broadcast-based protocol, which is based on broadcasting of the message. And second one is the unicast-based protocol. The meaning of broadcast-based message protocol means that in the case of BSS, when a message is being sent by a process, it has to be sent to all the process. So this protocol is implemented when there is a broadcasting of the message. But if there is unicasting of the message, then in that case, SES protocol is being used. Now, the BSS algorithm says that since it is broadcast based, it says that if a message is to be sent by a process, it has to be received by all the processes. And delivery of the message to a particular process is done when and only when the message preceding to it has been delivered to the process. Any message has to be received by a process if it has already received all those messages which has already sent by other processes before that. And if it is not so, then you have to buffer the message. And how it can be done? It can be done by using the by maintaining the vector clock of the different processes. So first of all, the BSS algorithm. Now BSS algorithm says that process PI increments the vector time. Process PI increments the vector time because every process is going to maintain its vector time. So it is process PI is going to increment its vector time as well as the time stamp whenever it is ready to send a message, and then it broadcasts that message. So before broadcasting any message, first of all, it has to update its vector time as well as it has to update the timestamp. And whatever vector time, whatever vector clock is being maintained by the process, before that, VTPI -1, this indicates that what are the number of the messages which is preceding M. Before M, what are the different messages which is represented by VTPI -1. Now the second point is, if the two processes are not same, two processes are different, and these two processes, the PI, it is going to receive a message M. So M will be delivered. M will be delivered if the vector time which is being, suppose PI is the process who are sending the message and PJ is the process who is receiving it. So this process PJ will be receiving the process if its vector time is less than 1 with the time stamp of the process, time stamp of the message which is sent by a process PI. So if it is so, the message will be delivered. Second point is, if the vector time which is being maintained by a process PJ is greater than or equal to the time stamp of the message which is sent by another process, then only the message will be delivered. Where the k value of k is from 1 to n minus I, as well as where n indicates the total number of the process. Now delayed message are queued at each process in a queue that is sorted by the vector time of the message, and concurrent messages are ordered by the time of the receipt. So as far as the concurrent message is concerned, we have not to bother about that, because at the time at which it is being delivered, it is ordered by that particular time. Now, when a message is delivered at a process PJ, if it is delivered just because of these two conditions, if it is delivered to the process, the vector time or the time stamp is updated according to the vector clock rule, that is IR2, which we have discussed earlier also. Now, out of these three steps, the second step is very important step, and we have to analyze these two steps. What these two steps are going to say. Now, first step is the first step is the vector time of the receiving process. If it is the value of this vector time is at least one less than the time stamp of the message, the process is going to receive the message or the message will be delivered. So what it means, it ensures that the PJ has received all the PI's messages preceding M. जितने भी process हैं PI's, उन processes ने जो पहले से message भेजे हुए हैं, वो messages पहले से PJ को receive हो चुके हैं. The first point ensures that. The second point ensures that process has received those messages received by PI before sending the M. So both these 2A and 2B is going to give the analysis of these 2 points, which is the basis of the BSS algorithm. Now let us go with an example. Suppose there are 3 processes, P1, P2, and P3, and the initial vector of these 3 processes are 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 0. The first component of this process, the vector, first component of this vector is being representing the timestamp of this P1 process. The second component is representing the timestamp of P2 process. Third, P3 is representing the third component. Now, P3 has initiated something in the form of sending a message. So it means an event has been created at the process P3. And this event which is created on the process P3, so this is going to increment the third component of the vector time, which is scheduled on P3, and it will become 0, 0, 1. And since we are talking about BSS, so this message will be broadcasted for P2 as well as for P1. Now, this value, this message M, which is generated, which is the event of P3, when it is sent to P2, P2 is being delivered. Why it is being delivered? Because this third component, second component, it is 0, and here it is also 0. So it means it will receive this message, because it will be, process P2 will came to know when it will receive this timestamp, this vector time, it will be able to know that it is 0, it is 0, it is 0, it is 0, and it is 0, and it is 1. So it means it will be able to receive this. Now the process P2 is going to have another event in which it is sending a message to the process P1 and the process P3. So when it is sending before it is going to send, it will update its clock. It will update its vector, and second component is meant for P2. So second component is incremented by 1, and the rest of the component will remain 0 as well as 1. The first component will be 0, 0. It is 0 since it is the second event of the P2. So this will be updated, and this is the this is the third component. Third component is meant for P3, so it will become 1. So this event will be updated with the vector time, and it will become 0, 1, 1. One thing you have to ensure that there will be no clock increment upon receiving of the message. Normally, you have seen in the vector time that if this message is being received by this process P2, this 0 has to be incremented by 1. So that is why it has not been incremented, because it is given in the BSS algorithm that upon receiving of the message, you have not to make any clock increment. But if this event is occurring in the same event, then you have to update because of the rule number 1. So since it is happening in the same event, same process, so that 0 will become 1. Now this event is going to send a message to the process P1 as well as to the process P3. When it sends this message to the process P3, so what it will do, it will compare whether it will be received by process P3 at this particular juncture or not. This will depend upon the current timestamp of the previous event happened at process P3, and the new timestamp with which this message is coming. Now, since it is 1, it is 1, so it is 1. It is 0 and it is 1, so it will become 1. And it is 0 and it is 0, it will remain 0, because there will be no clock increment upon the receiving of the message. And this way, the process P3 will also able to know that process P1 has not initiated any message with which it should come to the P3, because it is 0. So 0 here, this represents that process P1 has not initiated any kind of message. If process P1 might have initiated any kind of event, and if it has been received by either by P2 or P3, this first component must be updated with that value. Since process P1 has not initiated any message, so this will, the timestamp will become 0, 1, 1. So whatever this time vector time of P2, that will be received by the process P3. Now, the same message is being sent to the process P1, and P3 has already sent a message to the process P1. Now, what is happening here? Before this M1 is being received, there is a possibility of this message to be received by P1. But this message will not be received, or it will not be delivered to P1 at this particular juncture. Why it is so? This is just because here it is 0, here it is 1, here it is 0, here it is 1, here it is 0, it is 0. So since this event has the vector time 0, 1, 1, which is more than the 0, 0, 0, and this is indicating, this vector time is indicating that process P3 has already initiated by representing it by 1, and process P3 which has initiated and it has updated its value as 1, there must be a message which has to be received by P1 with its vector time stamp 001. So what it will do, it will buffer this message, and the time will come when this first message which is sent by P3 is being received by P1, and then only this buffered message will be delivered. So when this message is being received by the first message which is sent by P3 with vector time 001 is being received, so it will become 001. Now, since it has now the event has the process P1 has the event now here it becomes 1, and now after that this process which has initiated the message will be received, and the vector value will become 011. Again, we are not updating the clock value. No increment in the clock is being done on the process P1. Besides that, it is receiving two messages because it is set by the BSS algorithm that there will be no clock increment upon the receiving of the message. There will be an event which is happening in the same process, and that will be updated. But whenever it is receiving any process is receiving any message, then it has not to update. It has to simply copy the time vector time which has been carrying along with the message. So this is about the BSS algorithm. Now, the second algorithm is Schiffer-Egli-Sandoz algorithm, which is better known as SES. Now, this is on the unicast basis. This says that there is no need to broadcast the message. Now, in this particular algorithm, each process maintains a vector of a certain size, where n is the number of processes in the system. It maintains vector of the size n minus 1. It means if there are 3 processes, it has to maintain vector of the size 2. One will be the vector time, another will be the timestamp. Now, what is vector time? Vector time, VP is the vector tuple in which it is representing P dash as well as the T, where P dash is the destination process ID and T is the vector timestamp. Now, as far as the TM is concerned, it is the logical time of sending the message, and TPI represents the logical time at the PI. And initially, the VP has the entry nil entry, that is 000. Now, the process of SES algorithm is send message M with the timestamp TM along with the vector which is maintained by the process to another process. It means message is sent, along with the message timestamp is sent, as well as the vector which is maintained by the process who is sending that message is to be also sent to another process which is about to receive the message. Now, this P2TM, the process which is receiving the message P2TM, we try to insert this value into VP1, means the vector which is maintained by the process who are able to send the message, and overwrite the previous value, that is P2T, if any. Now this P2TM is not sent. Of course, it is going to update, insert this value in the vector, but this is not sent. Any future message which is carrying this value P2TM in VP1 cannot be delivered to P2 until the timestamp is less than TP2. So this is the regarding the sending of the message. What this actually means, this as told that P2TM is not sent. So further, if any message is carrying this value, and this carrying this value, and it is being received by VP1, means the vector time which is maintained by the process, can be delivered to the P2, mean the another process, until the timestamp is less than the TP2. Now, as far as the delivering of the message is concerned, the message which has to be delivered, if that message does not contain a pair P2T, it can be delivered. And if P2T exists, if T is not less than or equal to, sorry, not T is not less than TP2, buffer the message, don't deliver, else deliver the message. So it will be more clear if we go with the example, then it will be more clear. Let us take an example. We have three processes, P1, P2, and P3. Understanding of this algorithm will be more clear. So what is happening in the process P3? The initial vector time at all processes are 0, 0, 0. Now process P3 has initiated an event E31. So when it is initiated the event E31, so the vector will be incremented by 1. So it will become timestamp will become 0, 0, 1. And since it has to maintain its vector time also, so vector time will be having two tuples. I have told you in the earlier that first one is the process name identification, and second one is the timestamp. So this is the process P1 because it is sending the message to the process P1. So it is maintaining process P1 and the timestamp. So initially 001 is the timestamp, and the vector which is maintained by P3 is P1001, which represents that process P3 is sending a message with timestamp 001 to the process P1. But this message will be carrying only the timestamp. Why it is carrying only the timestamp? Because this message is meant for P1. So for sending it to P1, no need to send this vector. So this message is being received here. Now after a certain time, second event has occurred as E32. So it will update its timestamp to 002, and this event is sending a message to the process P2. So it will maintain its vector. First of all, it will update its timestamp, that will become 002. The first vector is P1001 and second is P2002. Why these two be maintained? Because it has to maintain the hierarchy that previous to this sending of the message, it has already sent one message with the timestamp 001 to the process P1. And with this P2, it will going to include into its vector value. But whenever this message is being sent, this message will be sent with two information only, the timestamp and the previous value, because no need to send this P2002 to the process P2, but the previous event which has occurred has to be included in this message. So the message, whenever it is received by P2, it will be 002, the timestamp will be 002, and the vector will be P1001. When it is received by P2, it will update it. Since it is the first event which is occurring in P2, so it will update. 0 will remain 0, 0 will become 1 because it is the first event of process P2, and this 0 will be compared with 2 so that it will become the 2, the maximum, as well as P1001 will also be stored. After that, P2 process has encountered another event. That event is E22, and in this event, whenever it is going to occur, it will first update its clock, its timestamp, and it will become 022. As well as what it will maintain the second entry, and that entry is the vector entry. So it is the vector entry. So since it is sending the message to the process P1, so it will maintain it as a process P1, and with what timestamp it is being sent, that timestamp is being here. So it will maintain these two things, 022, P1022, and it will send this message to the process P1. But whenever it is sending the message to the process P1, it will not send this vector along with this timestamp, because it is necessary to inform P1 that P1001, this information is necessary to be sent from process P2 to the process P1, because this event has occurred just because of the P3 and it has to be received by the P1. Since the P1 has not received this message with the timestamp P1001, so it will not be delivered. It will be delivered only after the message which has been initiated by the process P3 has been received. And whenever this process which has initiated this message is being received, it will update its clock value, its timestamp. So whenever it has sent with 001, so it will update it with 101, because the first component is regarding the process P1. So it will update it as a 1, and then rest will become 0 and 1, because the 0 and the 0, the maximum of 0 and 0 is 0, and maximum of 0 and 1 is 1, so it will become 101. Now this timestamp 101 is being now compared with the timestamp 022. So we will find that now this 1 is greater than this 0, then only this message will be received. So here this message is being buffered, and then once this value, first component of the vector, becomes greater, then only this value will be received. And whenever this message which is initiated by process P2 is being received at process P1, it will update its clock time. And so the second event has occurred at process P1, so 1 will become 2. Now we'll take the maximum of 0 and 2, so it will become 2. The maximum of 1 and 2, it will become 2. That is all about the SES algorithm.